Good evening. It is 7:30 right now, and what I would like to discuss with you is light energy technology because there's a belief that I somehow have the technology inside of me and that makes me supernatural as opposed to human and therefore property of the government. There's a big strike there. That's not true. Number one, because it's not consensual. If it were consensual, like the COVID vaccine, that makes you property. And everybody, which is 70% of the population, is now property, believe it or not, of Pfizer. You're technically property. So I'm not property because of let. I'm property because I went ahead and did the COVID vaccine to please my mom, which I regret. But I'm in the same boat as everybody else as far as COVID is concerned. At least for the next 70 years. Because the government went ahead and gave them a free pass to not be held liable for 71 years. And I think that was last year or the year before that was passed. LET is light energy technology. And as you can see from my glowing face, it produces a sunburn right now in me. I was out maybe for an hour and a half today in the sun. Because it goes through the skin, it means that it goes through your skin too. So I'm as much of a victim as everyone else. So there's a belief that this would be the devil. I don't think so, because there are a bunch of people clamoring after it and wanting it. I don't believe that it is. I think it may have been trained to do negative things and gone to, quote, school. I believe it is alien in nature. And that would be derived from the DNA of crashed or surviving aliens that were in UFOs that were shot down by the military. Wherever there is a downed UFO, which would be shot down when it enters our atmosphere by our military, the U.S. takes over the site. Unless it's a country like China or Russia, then they obviously take care of their own. We don't go in and take over their space. So, there's a very good possibility that this is allowing a population of something outside of our closed system. And yesterday, I took pictures of 2 plants that had an overturned leaf. And I need to explain to you what that is and what that means. On every leaf, there is a shiny side, and then the back side is kind of dull. The shiny side has a special element within the plant cell structure that creates the shininess. And it is an element that is in outdoor paint, like exterior paint for your house, so that your house doesn't look dirty every time it rains. The soil washes off, because that's what happens to a plant leaf, and that's why it is shiny. The shiny side is where the photocells are, which captures UV light, UVA, and UVB light. And that ultraviolet light is then incorporated into the plant and used as food. Obviously, there are other minerals that come up through the root system, but the plant also sustains energy through ultraviolet light. Because we have an extra amount, what I think is happening and what I took a photograph of was leaves turning over, kind of pushing away the dinner plate at the buffet. Kind of like, I'm done. I've had enough. So what that means is that it's a sign that there's too much, coupled with birds singing at 3:30 in the morning and not stopping. They continued. So those two things are evidence that extra ultraviolet light is present in the environment, even though you can't see it. You can't see ultraviolet light. What you can see with LED is it changing into visual parts, or parts of the visual spectrum. Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. That's our complete visual reality. So when people say seeing is believing, there's a lot more to the electromagnetic spectrum than just Roy G. Biv. Ultraviolet is on one side and infrared is on the other. Those two are on the outer edges of what we can see. And if you combine it or mix it with certain parts of the visual spectrum, you can create a projection that is seen only toward where it is being aimed. This is really important because I'm pointing out where things are and taking pictures. And I'm capturing it on film. But other people looking at the same spot aren't seeing it. It's because they're seeing it from a different angle. So not seeing it from the same angle, which is why the police have probably told people that they're not allowed on my property, which is a lie. I need people to come onto my property so that they can see my perspective of things. Because then they'll say, oh my gosh, I see what you mean now. It happened one time with Frank Pito. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your friendship. We've known each other a long time. Nobody else has come over to witness the Ohio Bermuda Triangle or to take pictures, which is something I've requested for months and months and months. I hope soon that some people will decide to be brave and come along and come into the 3D movie that's been created for me to experience, which is sick. You don't do this to somebody who is in recovery and who, if they use, has hallucinations or the chance to have hallucinations. So, with that aside, it needs to be stopped because too much light is not good. What will eventually happen as the population of this grows is the plants may shut down. They might get way too much and the leaves will begin to burn. What happens when leaves burn is there's no more movement of the photosynthesis process or chlorophyll moving through the plant. When you don't have that, and when there's not those live elements, your plant dies. So we need to make sure that we do not have too much UV light. If we do, we will lose all foliage. It will mean that we no longer can create crops as well. That would mean all of our food would need to be produced indoors under artificial light. A greenhouse, which would of course take energy in the form of fossil fuels to produce when we have a perfectly fine sun that works great. It's worked for billions of years. So having this additional light is dangerous. I was thinking about the birds today, and the fact that they were up an extra 3 hours. And for a bird, that's quite a bit. I don't know how much birds eat in a day, but they've got a certain amount of energy, and I'm wondering if that extra time that they're awake might fatigue them. It could alter a lot of things. So we have to be really careful with the introduction of this into the environment. I understand that the military would probably like to use this, but I say, and I vote nay. I don't think that this is a good choice. It's one of those things where it's too good to be true. And because it is fond of tricking or deceptive behavior, I wonder about its overall intent. And not knowing the source is another problem. If I knew the source, then I would be able to draw a firm conclusion based off of the data provided. So that's about all I got. I hope it's informative for you. I hope that you please pass along this information. If you ask my neighbors around me what happened last night, they will tell you, or they should, that birds were chirping starting around 3:30. And that is not normal. And they did not stop. So I'm not sure if it was everywhere or if it was just my neighborhood. NASA does have some of this technology and uses it from satellites and does aim it specifically. So that makes me think that it is sent through a radar wave in combination with a sound wave or sonic wave in order to make the 3D effect. But that's just a guess. I'd need somebody from the Department of Defense to verify or deny, or most likely just say, I don't know what you're talking about. That would be typical, right? Or it's top secret. Well, if it's being used publicly in the neighborhood, it's now not top secret. So, thank goodness I can't get in trouble for saying anything because it's public. So, if it's top secret, it should be kept in a top secret location where there is top secret clearance. Because all of my neighbors are normal, ordinary citizens, it is not top secret. Okay? So let's get that out of the way. There's no reason why my neighbors shouldn't be sounding the alarm with me. Because this is dangerous. I'm the first to tell it, and I'm not believed. I really need my neighbors' help on a couple different levels. I hope soon that there can be conversation so that we can work together. Have a good night.